Well, hello everybody. Welcome to this live of HW News Network. It is the seventh day of Maharashtra political crisis, and we can say some respite for the rebel camp MLAs of Shiv Sena led by Eknath Shinde. Today, the Supreme Court said that there will be a stay on the disqualification of these MPs, MLAs. Furthermore, the Supreme Court has also asked the Maharashtra government to provide security, necessary security to the family members and the offices of these rebel MLAs in Mumbai. It has directed the Maharashtra government to do so. It has also given a relief in terms of the time that was sought by them to appear in front of the Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra, Narhari Zirwal, who had given them time till today 5:30 to appear in front of him. That was the 48 hours of window that he had given to them. The 16 MLAs who the Shiv Sena sought to disqualify. Uh, the speaker had in fact said that they should appear in front of him in 48 hours and tell what their point of view was, and he had issued them a disqualification notice, but they had challenged this in the Supreme Court, and I think the Supreme Court has given them a sort of relief, and it has asked them to appear before the speaker. And the time that was given to them by the speaker has been extended till 12th of July. Now, the matter will be posted on 11th of July. That is when the Supreme Court will hear this matter. Furthermore, the Supreme Court has also issued notice to all the parties involved in this case, and it has asked them to file an affidavit in the next 5 days. So this is what Supreme Court has said. But interestingly, in all these 7 days of rebellion, since the rebellion started till now, the rebel camp has been invoking two leaders of Shiv Sena. One that is founder of Shiv Sena, Bal Thackeray, and other is Anand Dighe. Now, a lot of you maybe out of Maharashtra may not know who Anand Dighe is. So today we will discuss about Anand Dighe. And there was also a movie that was released recently on the life and times of Anand Dighe. The movie was called Dharmaveer, and one wonders, there are speculations that are rife that whether this movie was in fact a launch pad of the rebellion that has started in Maharashtra. To discuss this, we have with us our managing editor, Mr. Sujit Nair. First of all, Sujit ji, you are yourself from Thane, so you might have seen the life and times of Anand Dighe as well. The question is, do you think there is some sort of connection between this movie and the rebellion that has started by Eknath Shinde? But before that, I would also like to ask you about Anand Dighe. What was the importance of Anand Dighe in Thane?
Okay, Arti, see, there are two Shiv Senas. Right from beginning, there are two Shiv Senas. One is the Shiv Sena of Bal Thackeray, and then one is a Shiv Sena of Bal Thackeray and Anand Dighe. Okay, Anand Dighe in Thane was as popular as Bal Thackeray, and for a lot of people in Thane, Anand Dighe will be a person they would revere. Uh, and if you ask me who was Anand Dighe and what was Anand Dighe, let me tell you, Anand Dighe was a person who actually dedicated his life for serving the people. At least, he would serve the poor. He would be there for the people. He would meet thousands of people in a day. In fact, his darbar, the famously known Anand Dighe darbar, would start at 4:35 in the morning. He would sit. I remember this. He would sit in his darbar with a towel, draped in a towel, because it would be 4 o'clock in the morning, and he would start meeting people. And and this would continue. And he was a person who went out of the way to help people. There is no debate about it. Of course, there were murder charges against him. He was out on bail. There was a case going on of Khopkar murder against him, and all of that. That is one thing of the story. But the fact is, Anand Dighe, for a Thanekar, is a person they will respect, because Anand Dighe, for a Thanekar, was always available. His doors are always open to help people. And there are so many stories. In fact, he's like a folklore in Thane. There are so many stories about him, which talks about, how he helped people across Thane, and how he helped people to kind of, with various things, right from getting a job, to getting schooling, to getting a school admission, to getting a college admission, to the works. So that was Anand Dighe. Okay. Now, coming back to your question. Arti, like I said, there were two Shiv Senas. One Shiv Sena was the Bala Sahib Thackeray Shiv Sena, which was the Shiv Sena that we possibly the world knows. But then there was also another Shiv Sena in Maharashtra, which was the Bala Sahib Thackeray and Anand Dighe Shiv Sena. Okay, because Anand Dighe was also revered there. It is like that monotheism and polytheism. There was one leader here, and there were more than one leader here. Now, this movie called Dharmaveer actually launched this Anand Dighe and Bala Sahib Thackeray Shiv Sena. It gave a fantastic launchpad for Anand Dighe and Bala Sahib Thackeray Shiv Sena. Okay, specifically making Anand Dighe, giving him that kind of pedestal, which I think he deserved. I think he deserved that pedestal. Okay, because what he did for Thanekar and the kind of respect he had for Thanekar. Achha, when I say Thanekar, please don't mistake it to be just Thane. Please don't mistake it to be just Thane city. I am talking about Thane district, and I am talking about beyond it. So Anand Dighe was a very popular figure right across. So it's not just Thane city that one talks about. So this is where it is, Arti. So yes, this film gave a fantastic pedestal. It was like launching a variant, a brand variant. It is like launching Surf Excel, Surf and Surf Excel. It was launching like a brand variant. Of course, this brand variant went out to be a flagship for the rebel group. That's a different issue. But it was like a brand variant, and this movie gave that man that pedestal, and which he deserved, like I said. So yeah, that was what this movie did for Anand Dighe. Arti, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, my mic was muted. So I said before I move to my next question, I would like to request all of our viewers, whoever is watching this, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask it in the comment box so I can take it up and I can ask it to Mr. Sujit Nair. Well, my next question was, when you consider Mumbai and Thane, you see Shiv Sena's stronghold has always been Mumbai. But then now we see most of these MLAs that have gone with Eknath Shinde are from Thane and beyond. You see, there are very few Mumbai-based MLAs in the rebel camp. So, do you think this Thane factor, is dominating over the Mumbai factor?
Which is what I told you. See, what really happened was, I remember Eknath Shinde. Like I said, I am from Thane. I've seen all this live. I was there. Eknath Shinde was a hardcore Anand Dighe loyalist. Hardcore Anand Dighe loyalist. He was almost, which is again shown in the film. So what am I saying? And he was also a hardcore Shiv Sena. So for me, I'll be very surprised if Eknath Shinde leaves Shiv Sena and joins BJP or joins any party for that matter of fact. I'll be very surprised. Achha, when I say Shiv Sena, I don't mean the Shiv Sena, the current Shiv Sena. He may create a Shiv Sena which is of Anand Dighe and Bal Thackeray. That's a different issue, which will be, according to him, his Shiv Sena, the right Shiv Sena. That is a different issue. But him joining a BJP is something that I am not very sure whether he will do it, because he's a hardcore Shiv Sena. See, I think he came from Satara, and he came when he was in 1970s to Thane, and almost from then to now, till 2001 when Anand Dighe died, he was with Anand Dighe. He was a loyal soldier of Anand Dighe. He was constantly there with Anand Dighe. So his loyalty is unquestionable. Okay, and the fact that his loyalty to the concept of Shiv Sena is unquestionable. That being said, the fact is, Thane, Arti, was always a powerful gad for Shiv Sena. It was always a powerful area for Shiv Sena. Shiv Sena always won in Thane. Thane was, especially when Anand Dighe, actually that is what made Anand Dighe big. You see, there was somebody before Anand Dighe, there was a gentleman called Satish Pradhan. Okay, Satish Pradhan was the first mayor of Thane. So Satish Pradhan used to run Thane once upon a time. Okay, then came Anand Dighe, and Anand Dighe era saw Shiv Sena consolidating in Thane. So Shiv Sena, Thane was very, very important for Shiv Sena, and it started spreading from Thane. So that's what you're seeing. So that's exactly what I said in the front. There are two Shiv Senas always. One is the Anand Dighe Shiv Sena, and Anand Dighe and Bal Thackeray Shiv Sena, and one is the Bal Thackeray Shiv Sena. So this is what it is.
But that also begs another question, and the question is, if it comes to it, what do you think? Eknath Shinde is more loyal to Shiv Sena or he is more loyal to Anand Dighe?
That's a difficult question to answer, Arti, because Anand Dighe was so much, he was so ingrained with Shiv Sena. So how can you view it separately? Because Anand Dighe was Shiv Sena was Anand Dighe for
Hmm.
Thanekar. See,
Hmm.
Bala Saheb Thackeray was not something that Thanekars interacted on a daily basis. Thanekars
Hmm.
interacted with Anand Dighe. So for a
Hmm.
lot of Thanekar, Anand Dighe is Shiv Sena. So that
Hmm.
question answering it would be very hypothetical. It will be guesstimating more than anything else.
In fact, like you said, there was a pet name for Anand Dighe. He was called Thane's Bal Thackeray. So I think that tells us a lot. I mean, what his stature was in Thane. Uh, so again,
See,
when we
Arti,
yeah.
I'll give 1 minute. Sorry, just 1 minute to you to this thing about Anand Dighe. See, Anand Dighe was a person who went out of his way to help people. Any story, any nukkad you go to Thane city, especially, or Thane district for that matter, but especially Thane city, any nukkad you go, you will hear one or two stories about how Anand Dighe helped somebody.
Hmm.
Okay, there is anywhere you go in Thane, you will find Anand Dighe's story. So he genuinely, see, he was a bachelor. He had nothing else but serving people from morning 4 o'clock. And like even Bala Saheb Thackeray, it seems, has asked once, and a lot of people ask, when does Anand Dighe sleep? One doesn't know because he is awake till 11:30, 12 every day. And morning 4 o'clock starts his darbar. So one does, when does he sleep? You see, so that's the man. And it's not even that. Anand Dighe was one person, I'll tell you, and a lot of Thanekars who must be watching this program will agree to me, people of my age, is he would be, you go to him for help, he would even accompany you. Like for
Hmm.
instance, you want school admission, he would accompany you to school. And so you would wonder, okay, where does this man get this much time? So many
Hmm.
people he serves. So Anand Dighe was actually a legend, and actually a folklore, literally, in Thane.
Hmm. Although, but there are parallels being drawn from Anand Dighe Balasaheb era and Uddhav Thackeray and Eknath Shinde era. You see, even at that point of time when Anand Dighe was alive, Balasaheb Thackeray was there. It was said that Anand Dighe had a growing influence in Thane, and it sort of threatened the stature of Balasaheb Thackeray. And even now, we are seeing a similar situation where Eknath Shinde, pupil of Anand Dighe, his ambitions are growing beyond Uddhav Thackeray.
See, Arti, I'll tell you what, Anand Dighe never stood for an election. Anand Dighe never fought an election, and he would never fight an election. Okay, Anand Dighe, like Bala Saheb Thackeray, made others fight election. He never stood for any position or any place. Likewise, Bal Thackeray. So basically, they were two different people, because here Eknath Shinde is fighting elections. There, Uddhav Thackeray is fighting elections. But in this case, both Anand Dighe and Uddhav Thackeray never fought elections. Number one. Number two, the difference is, somewhere down the line, in some form or another, Bala Saheb Thackeray always kept a check on Thane, always kept a check on what is happening in Thane, how much is Anand Dighe growing, so on and so forth. He never allowed Anand Dighe to eclipse him in some format.
Hmm.
Here,
Hmm.
I believe Uddhav Thackeray should possibly, Eknath Shinde has grown. Eknath Shinde now it is clear, isn't it? He has more clout with the MLAs than Uddhav Thackeray has, because he's got more MLAs with him than Uddhav Thackeray. So the fact that he grew enough influential
Hmm.
to get the MLAs on his side. So the fact is, that is the difference between the Balasaheb Thackeray management and the Uddhav Thackeray management. That's how I would see the difference.
Well, now coming back to the topic of the discussion that we started with, do you think this movie sort of started this entire? I mean, Anand Dighe, I know he was a towering figure in Thane, but I don't think beyond Thane he had faded out of memory for a lot of people, but again, making him mainstream, making his memory mainstream, was the main contribution of this movie called Dharmaveer. Do you think that because of that movie, this entire factor about Anand Dighe, this entire factor about Thane getting prominence in Shiv Sena came into picture once again, and that led to sort of this rebellion that acted as a, backdrop of base of this rebellion?
Yeah, I that's exactly what I said, Arti. That movie proved to be a foundation, a launch pad for the Anand Dighe faction. I will still not call it Anand Dighe faction because I'm still going to insist calling it a Balasaheb Thackeray Anand Dighe faction. Because a lot of these people have got same regards for Balasaheb Thackeray and Anand Dighe. But it was a fantastic launch pad for the Anand Dighe Balasaheb Thackeray faction. And that this movie did. And like I told you again and again, it gave that kind of impetus, it gave the kind of platform for Anand Dighe, which he deserved.
Hmm.
Can I answer this question?
Yes.
Do I think whether Shinde will join
MNS?
I don't think so. I don't think Shinde will join MNS. See, Shinde, honestly speaking, unless and until there are some political forces, political reason, political compulsions, which could be possible, he may or may not join BJP. I don't think Shinde will join either BJP. Banse is out of question, but he won't join BJP either. So Shinde would prefer to, have a Balasaheb Sena. If not a Balasaheb Sena, if he can't use the word Balasaheb Sena, then he may use the word Anand Sena. He may use the word Anand Dighe Sena. He may use that, and he will start on his own. But I don't think he will join Manse.
But why not? I mean, there are speculations rife about it in Maharashtra as well that maybe he will join Shivsena. It's a perfect opportunity for him. I mean, from analysis point of view, he has been talking about Hindutva. He has been talking about Balasaheb Thackeray. So if he joins MNS, the Thackeray aura remains intact, and also the Hindutva part of it has been taken care of by MNS already, because they have been talking about Hanuman Chalisa. They have been talking
Arti,
about
who heads MNS?
Raj Thackeray.
Why would Eknath Shinde make all these efforts and become a number 2 to Raj Thackeray when he was always a number 2 to Uddhav Thackeray? What difference? What is there that Raj Thackeray can offer that Uddhav Thackeray cannot? In fact, Uddhav Thackeray can offer much more than what Raj Thackeray could offer. Well, at least Uddhav Thackeray was the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He was the head of Shiv Sena. So why would he join as a number 2 to Raj Thackeray and still be, Raj Thackeray running the show? So that is impossible, to the best of my knowledge.
What conclusion can be drawn out of all of this? Because Eknath Shinde rebel camp has been saying that they don't want to merge with the BJP. They are not going to merge with BJP. They are also not saying whether they want to break the party. They are still saying they are the real Shiv Sena, and they just want the Uddhav Thackeray faction Shiv Sena to quit the alliance with Maha Vikas Aghadi. They have also withdrawn the support from Maha Vikas Aghadi alliance. That's what they say. But what exactly is the end conclusion of all of this, end goal of all of this, is what everybody is sort of confused about, because there doesn't seem any conclusion to this. As of from our point of view, from analytical point of view, where is this heading?
Arti, first of all, let us understand what really went wrong. See, in the last 8 days, I've been going around talking to a lot of Shivseniks, talking to a lot of people who support the rebel group, a lot of people who do not support the rebel group, but still with Uddhav Thackeray. You see, let us understand the situation. What went wrong? Okay, first is, of course, the ED threat and all that. That is definitely it's an overriding thing on all of this. So that is given. The second thing is that Shivsenik, because Uddhav Thackeray was not available to them, they almost felt fatherless. They almost felt leaderless. You see, while Pawar was completely overbearing on Maha Vikas Aghadi and NCP, Congress, it's a small party in the entire group. They were doing their own. All of a sudden, Shivseniks didn't have a leader. So they couldn't get appointments, they couldn't meet the chief minister, they couldn't get their project sanctioned. They were not exercising the power which they wanted to as MLAs. You see, when you are MLA, I think one big thing that happens is you need to go back to your constituency, and you are powerful in your constituency, and the chances of you winning back in the constituency is when you show the constituency that you are close to the chief minister, that the projects that you create, the projects that you design gets funded and actually gets executed in your constituency. That is when people elect you and say, "Ha, he's a good leader for us." Okay. Here what happens is Shivsena, chief minister, but they were not getting their projects. A lot of them couldn't get their projects through. A lot of them, the projects were getting delayed. That is a fact. That also irked a lot of people. That also irks a lot of people. Let me repeat. I am not therefore saying that the ED factor and all didn't work. Of course it worked. But I am saying this also is a real factor. The factor that a lot of Shiv Sainik felt leaderless. Now, when they felt leaderless, who did they go to? They went to this gentleman called Eknath Shinde. Eknath Shinde's doors were always open to these people. So what used to happen is Eknath Shinde became the shoulder that these people went to cry on. And Eknath Shinde really understood that these people are upset. So predominantly what happened was, it was three reasons. One, like I said, ED. So let's put that aside. ED, all of us know. But the second reason, which is a real reason, and that is why I tweeted also yesterday, that you see, Uddhav Thackeray should start thinking as to why his MLAs deserted him. Second reason is these MLAs felt leaderless. See, it's a very leader-driven organization. Shiv Sena is a very leader-driven organization. Okay, they would do anything on one word of Bal Thackeray. That's how these leaders grew. Okay, so all of a sudden they felt leaderless. When they saw that they were leaderless, they were confused. They didn't know what to do. Number one. Number two is, of course, then came Shinde, and they always they took Shinde's help. The third important point is, on the other hand, there was Sharad Pawar, who was a towering leader, who started taking calls, and these leaders felt that even Uddhav Thackeray is listening to Sharad Pawar. So हमारा leader कौन है? So they started getting confused कि भाई हम शिवसेना है कि हम NCP है, because my leader incidentally is listening to Sharad Pawar. Now, whether that is right or wrong is a different debate altogether. It's a different issue altogether. That we can debate. But the feeling amongst people, and I tell you this, after speaking to a lot of leaders, believe me, that they felt that, listen, you know what, my leader is also listening to Sharad Pawar. So finally, are we NCP? Achha. Now the last point. Right from 1980s. Okay, right from 1980s. Sharad Pawar was the single biggest competitor to Shiv Sena. So it was always, in our younger days also, it used to be Bal Thackeray versus Sharad Pawar. Now, mind you, all these Shiv Seniks had learned fighting NCP, Sharad Pawar, when Sharad Pawar was in Congress, so Congress, when Sharad Pawar started NCP. They were the biggest adversaries. All of a sudden, you think, how will you feel if you feel that your leader is listening to your biggest adversary? And your entire party is running based on what your biggest adversary says. How would you feel? That is the problem that Uddhav Thackeray needs to understand, and that's the problem that Uddhav Thackeray needs to resolve if he wants to resurrect his Shiv Sena. And I think which he should. That's the problem that he needs to resurrect. That's the problem that he needs to resolve. Okay, so that's the issue. So it's not about them wanting to join BJP and all that. See, BJP, I tell you, they were not happy with BJP also. They were not happy with BJP also. In fact, it was the same Eknath Shinde who said, I've got my resignation in my pocket. Okay, because BJP don't treat us well. So they're not happy with BJP. But then, devil in the deep blue sea, they prefer the devil because he's a non-devil. So rather go with the non-devil, that is BJP, than, take up work under NCP and Sharad Pawar. That's the problem, Arti.
Hmm. Now, one more question that is emerging, and I think a lot of rebel MLAs have listed it as one of the problems is Sanjay Raut. They have said that because of Sanjay Raut and his statements, it is not only damaging the party, it is also damaging the MLAs. How fair do you think is it to blame Sanjay Raut for this crisis? Do you think that
I'll
he
tell
has
you.
anything to do with the crisis?
Yes, yes, yes. Sanjay Raut has the verbose of Balasaheb Thackeray, but he doesn't have the clout. He
Hmm.
tries to speak like Balasaheb Thackeray without having the clout of Balasaheb Thackeray. You see, Balasaheb Thackeray had tremendous respect, tremendous, backing of people, especially people of Maharashtra. Tremendous backing. Uh, you
Hmm.
know, uh, that's so when he spoke, it all made sense. Nobody questioned him.
Hmm.
Nobody, debated with him. It was accepted. But Sanjay Raut speaks the way Balasaheb Thackeray speaks. He uses the same tone, tenor, style. He uses his
Hmm.
style, but he doesn't have the goods to, he doesn't have that clout. He doesn't have that clout.
Yes.
So that's where the
But these
problem
days,
is.
it was being said, and a lot of rebel MLAs have also spoken about this, that it seemed more like Sanjay Raut is talking for NCP, for Sharad Pawar, than Shiv Sena itself.
See, all that is conspiracy theory. All that is conspiracy theory. Sharad Pawar backdoor entry with Shiv Sena and all that. All that is conspiracy theory. The best of my knowledge and what I see on ground and what I see with from in NCP and what I see in Shiv Sena.
Hmm.
See, both of them are desperately trying to ensure that Maha Vikas Aghadi can be saved, if at all it can
Hmm.
be. Okay, they are trying that best. So all that is not happening. Of course, see, let me assure you, in Maharashtra, most of the leaders, and be it BJP leaders, be it NCP leaders, be it Congress leaders, be it Shiv Sena leaders, has tremendous respect for uh, Sharad Pawar, especially
Hmm.
leaders who have interacted with Sharad Pawar.
Hmm.
I spoke to you about MLAs of Shiv Sena. Now, mind you, all those people do not know. They have not interacted with Sharad Pawar. They have not had meetings and sittings with Sharad Pawar as much possibly as
Hmm.
Satish Pradhan, Sanjay Raut had, or as
Sanjay
much
Raut.
as say so people who have interacted with Sharad Pawar has respect for Sharad Pawar. So that's the way it is. So, but beyond that, Sanjay Raut fighting for
Hmm.
Sharad Pawar or doing what Sharad Pawar, all that is completely. I don't think there is any
Hmm.
truth to that.
A user named Hunt has asked us this question: how much can Sharad Pawar be trusted by Uddhav Thackeray? And also, additionally, he has asked why can't this whole thing go to SC and not to High Court? I think the Supreme Court has pretty much answered this today. Supreme Court has in fact asked the petitioners why they did not approach the High Court first, and they said that it was because they feared for their life, because Shiv Sainiks are out on streets and they are breaking their offices and protesting in large numbers. So maybe they felt the security threat. So Supreme Court, as I said in the beginning, has asked Maharashtra government to provide them security. So maybe that is why they did not go to the High Court. The first question: how much can Sharad Pawar be trusted by Uddhav Thackeray?
Sharad Pawar can be trusted by Uddhav Thackeray as much he can trust Amit Shah. Okay, Arti, this is politics. Whether it is Sharad Pawar or whether it is Amit Shah or whether it is Mulayam Singh Yadav or whether it is whoever it is. You see, end of the day, every politician will strategize, will work towards strengthening their own party. Why should he work for somebody else's party? Why should he say, help somebody else to, kind of increase their party strength? What's up makes no sense. So the point that I'm trying to make is trusting Sharad. See, in politics now, Arti, who asked this question?
Um, a user named Hunt.
Hunt. Okay, let me tell this to Hunt. If what I mean, since I don't know his name. See, in politics now, there is no using these words like how much can I trust him, how much will he help me. Help, trust, and all doesn't exist in politics. What exists in politics is how much is he of use to me and how much am I of use to him.
Hmm.
These are the only two words that actually work in politics. Okay, what Uddhav Thackeray needs to understand is how much of use is Sharad Pawar to him. And what Sharad Pawar is going to look is how much of use is Uddhav Thackeray to him. Matter starts there, matter ends there. Anything beyond that is actually, all hearsay. I mean, उसमें कोई point नहीं है.
Well, last question from my side, and I think we are also short of time now. We just have 5 minutes to go. Last question. What do you think is the BJP's role in all of this? BJP has been having a very spectator role here. It is just sitting there. It has had a wait and watch role officially. Unofficially, there were also reports that BJP leaders met these rebel camp leaders in Surat, also met them in Guwahati as well. Although Assam Chief Minister claimed that he did not even know that Maharashtra rebel MLAs are in Guwahati, kind of a surprise since this was all over the news that they are in Guwahati, and quite a surprise that he did not know that they are there. But well, what do you think about BJP's role in all of this? So why is BJP looking so cautious to approach this head on?
Can I tell you something? And honestly, a lot of you may believe me, a lot of you may not. I think BJP had a supportive role on this. BJP didn't initiate this. This got initiated definitely with this. See, the ED and all was happening. It only added fuel to fire. But this core MLA is moving. The party almost in the verge of splitting. All this happened within. BJP just added fuel to fire. They didn't start the fire. You know what I'm trying to say? They didn't start the fire. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is BJP would help them in every form. Infrastructure, police protection, boarding, lodging, taking them, dropping them, getting them back, everything they will help. But beyond a point, it is not BJP that was doing this. Number one. Number two is BJP themselves are waiting and watching, because they had already done this before with Ajit Pawar, where they were almost actively in the forefront with Ajit Pawar. So they had done this once and they fell flat on their feet. So obviously they will not try and do it again, Arti. But the fact remains that my understanding is BJP, while they are adding fuel to fire, but they are not the one who started this fire. That is a fact.
Yeah. So, well, that's all. I think we have also reached our time. But just before before we sign off, somebody has asked about whether Eknath Shinde is paying the cost or BJP is footing the bill. We don't know who exactly is footing the bill, but what we know for sure is the cost that has been incurred on this entire operation. In fact, they have also asked for extension in the Guwahati hotel. So far till Saturday, the cost was 1 crore 12 lakh for the hotel stay for 7 days in Guwahati alone. And if you consider the chartered flights that flew from Surat to Guwahati, then that is additionally another 1 crore 20 lakh. So I think more than 2 crore 30 lakh have been spent on this entire operations. And I think for coming days, it will be more money that will be poured into this. We don't exactly know who footed the bill, but well, that's what the cost of this entire operation was. That is what we know for sure. Thank you so much for all for joining this. Thank you so much, Sujit sir, for joining this. See you in another video. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye.